pelican with some very soft mangoes, a closet full of skeletons and terry cloth kangos.
Hey guys, Mango Kango here, and today we're going to be building an arcade in Pizza Place. So, you might be thinking, oh, well, it's a little unexpected. And you might be wondering, why am I recording this video? Well, I'm actually recording it because it was a recommended comment, and it's actually a good thing that I'm doing it because the ArcadeMachine from one of my previous videos is actually outdated, and I tried to replicate it with the new build system, and it was very not easy. But yeah, I'm just going to be going over the whole room from the design to the layout to the actual structures inside the room. It's going to look very similar to the arcade from my mall build, because obviously some people were wondering how I had accomplished that. I'm going to be going over the ClawMachine, the regular ArcadeMachine, kind of the general build of the area itself, and a dance machine. I'm not sure what the word is for it, but you guys will know what I mean when I show it on screen. Alright, so first you're going to want to find a room that is where you want the arcade, and I would enclose it because it's going to be kind of a darker room, so you want to have some separators for sure. Just get the general layout going. Let's see, how big do I want the arcade? So I want to cover this up. You don't have to build it right here, but I'm just going over like what you would probably want to do. So let's just say our entrance is right here and our arcade will be right here, right? So I'm gonna actually cover up all these windows because it's kind of a burden to have to work around these windows. So if your room has windows, I would recommend covering up those windows. Alright, now that we have most of this wall freed up right here, I'm actually gonna wait to recolor this. I will color it the same texture as my wall that I currently have, but later you're probably gonna want to color this black or like a dark purple or a dark blue to kind of give that arcade vibe that you almost knocked over a drink, to kind of give that arcade vibe, that give the impression of when building this. But for now we want it to be bright, and so that we can see what we're working with here. Alright, so let's do our claw machine. So I'm thinking somewhere right here, so it's gonna be about 4 blocks wide, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that's how big it's kind of generally going to be, just so you know going into this. And I'm going to build 2 blocks on both sides. These will be our markers so that we can work with our area here. And firstly, we're just going to actually place a decal. Now this is going to be our stuffed animals, and I have the decal on screen, hopefully right there for you. And this is going to be 1, 2, so not here, but 1 up, so right here. So if we go to edit it, you're gonna equip the stuffed animals just like this. So there's a reason it's not taking up the full thing. It's because this will be taken over by the towels anyway. It's unnecessary, even though this side it is technically unnecessary too. It's just the way the decal is, but it's definitely cut in the right way in the front, so it definitely will work for this video. And then you're going to want quite a bit of towels, and that's going to be the base of this. So you're going to rotate them or use the tilt tool and get them rotated. You want the flat side facing inward and the part that's sticking out going this way, okay? And you want the towels 2 bumps sticking upwards. So they all need to look like this to have uniformity. And we're going to go in our C mode or non-C mode so that we can edit stuff without hitting the decal. Even though it's probably doable without it, but it's a lot easier this way. So we're gonna have this not inward but out 1 from this wall, so basically sitting against it, but don't push it against it. You want to use the floor to rebound off of, and then this will sit just like this, in 1 in the wall, and these will all be in each other like this. And then we rotate it this way, and it's the same thing on this side. So let's just repeat the process. And now we want to rotate it, having the flat side facing into the build and the puffy facing out, and then just having this go right there. So, and keep in mind that this one is going to have to be 1 away from the wall, and then just fill in the middle one like that. And then you get something like this. Now the reason this one pops out more is because the towels aren't actually perfectly even on both sides, so you are going to get that inconsistent right there, but it is fine. When the whole build is together, definitely you can't even notice it. Now you're gonna want 2 coffee machines, and this will be the actual like area where you can use the joystick and whatnot. So let's go ahead and grab those, and you can just push those in or slide them through the bottom right here, and they will automatically go close to the thing. So we want this to, you can put it wherever you want actually. Some people, you could put it in the center. I'm gonna off center it because I think it just kind of fits a little bit better, and put your second one in right here. Not right here because you get that little indent, but you want to push it in one like that. Now if you're worried about the sides of the coffee machine showing, you can always do another one and rotate it to get it pushed in there, just like that, and then one more on this side, just like that, and then it kind of covers up the entire thing. You don't have to do that, but it's always an option to get uniformity throughout the whole thing. Alright, now we can place a stair going in one right here. We will get rid of the stair in just a second, but we're using it for this right here. So we're gonna place our head right here and then edit it right away, and go to our favorites and find ourselves the ID that I have on screen, and it'll just be this joystick right here. Okay, and now we can delete this. So as you can see, it's right here. If you want to add another one on the other side, you can too, or center it, you can as well. But anywhere on the console area right here would be perfectly fine. Alright, and I went for a dark purple about right here and pulled it down about this much. And I'm just going to go for this texture right here. And we're just going to recolor everything for now to keep us organized and on track with the build. So this is what it looks like so far, and now we're gonna have to get our glass on here. We're gonna be using decals, and these are gonna be our glass panels for this crane machine, which actually makes it quite easy. So for this first part, all you have to do is put it in 1 and 2, and then we edit this, and we're gonna use the ID on screen right now, and this will be our front glass panel, and that's gonna sit right about there. And now for the other 2, it's also very simple. Just make sure it's pointed towards the ground and push it in 1, just like this. So it should be about halfway through this block, and do the same thing on this side. And now we can edit this one on our left, and that will be on screen now, the ID for this one, and it's going to be our left. And then our right, the ID I'll have on screen, and this is our right side. So once you're done with that, we can go out of here and go back to look at it, and everything looks very, very good. And I made sure that the seams are pretty much seamless, which is actually pretty good. So yeah, that's the glass. Alright, now for the back wall, and you'll see what I mean by this in a second. We're gonna have to buy 2 doors. So any door technically will work, as long as it's pretty plain. I'm gonna go for the most plain one right here though. Just buy 2 of these, and I'm gonna place them on the back right here. So go 1, 2, and let's go to edit these and make them owner only. So you're the only one that can touch these, and they will open. That way it doesn't cause a bunch of problems. Okay, now we're gonna use our eyedropper tool and just grab the color and texture from here, and we're just gonna color the door to make it fully blend in. And now it gives the illusion that's just a wall in the back of our build, and it goes quite well. And if someone were to jump in here, these doors wouldn't open, but they will open for you. Just keep that in mind. But the illusion nonetheless works really, really good. Alright, so let's get the claw actually figured out. So the claw is a bit of a conundrum, right? So this is the best claw that you can have in the game. As you can see, it looks very, very good, and it's just a table, and this is from the Halloween set. However, if you don't have the Halloween set, it might be kind of difficult to get the claw that you want. You can probably make a texture for it, like a decal. I think that would work pretty okay, but you're probably gonna have to find a different item in the game that works well with it for it. But just be warned, I couldn't really find an alternative, so again, I just recommend making a decal if you do not have this item. But here's the item nonetheless, so we're going to place it in its respective spot. So you can place it anywhere rebounding off of any of these glass panels. would work perfectly fine. I'm just gonna place it in the kind of in the middle side right here, rebounding off the wall, just like that. And you just want to make sure the table head is lined up with the top, because we're going to be covering that up. So we don't want that to be in the build, we just want the claw itself dangling down from the top. And now we can go ahead and you can use the rotate tool and rotate it once to kind of make it so you can see all the prongs. You don't have to do that, but that's just something that you can do. And then we're going to go here and equip our metal material and go to a light gray. And then we get our claw. Okay, and for the roof here, it's just gonna get a little bit costly for the edges, at least because we're gonna be using our towels. So you're just gonna want to rebounding off of the top here of the glass. So just push one in there, and it'll be the same thing on this side, just like this. And just push in one on this side, one on this side, and our last one right here. And for the middle brace right here, we're going to be placing our modern coffee table, just like this. That'll kind of be the heads up display area where the logo will be and stuff like that. And I did just color everything, but we're going to finish off the roof here. So the towels, you want one back here and the other right here. Okay, and then we're going to take this flat path block and we're going to put two of them in the roof right here. And realistically, they can be anywhere they want. Towards the bottom more would be better. And just make sure those two are like identical to each other, filling in that space. And then we can take the color from here and finish it off. So that's what you're left with on top, just a little square. If you want, you can probably fill in that space with more path blocks like this. On the two top parts, but I did it on the bottom to kind of make it look nice on the inside as well. So the only thing this ClawMachine is missing is a slot that this thing actually would drop your stuffed animal into. But to keep it simple for the video, I wasn't going to include something like that, but it's definitely something that would be doable. It wouldn't probably be too difficult either, to be honest with you. But we are going to go ahead and place this decal right here and off the grid so that it's right on top of it. As you can see, it's right up against it. We can edit it, and we're going to use the decal code on screen, which is going to be our coin slot, which is going to be how you play the game. And that is the ClawMachine. Alright, and next I'm going to do an arcade machine, the typical arcade machine. So I'm going to put one on this wall right here, and we're gonna have to make a couple of them, but obviously I'll cut between that of me making the other ones, but we're gonna do one right here to make it nice and simple for us. So for this one, you're just gonna want a space like this, so just an encapsulated one area section for this. Alright, and first we want a relative for what we're working with here. So we want to know what area we have to build around, and that's going to be mainly this TV. So the height is going to sit literally on the block section that it sits on, which would be right here. Now this TV is the top TV, and it is going to be the middle part that is going to be our screen. So we need to build around this to make it look like an arcade machine. So first we're going to grab this chair, we're going to place it right here, because that's actually going to connect to the back, and it's going to make the back look a little bit more uniform. So we're going to place that chair in there. And then next we're going to need our futuristic coffee tables for the side panels. Okay, and we're going to have to rotate them, and they're going to be facing right here. So we need them to face both of them inward on each other. So it's going to be right on the ground as well. So you can use the wall to rebound off of, but just make sure that it is as close to the ground as you can get it, which would be right here. And then literally just flip it the other direction and you should be good. That looks pretty good. So there's your sides and your back. Now we need our front. So for our front, it's going to be more of these coffee machines in the correct area. Now we're going to be rebounding off of the block for this one, and it's going to be sticking out halfway through. Just make sure that we are doing the same thing on the other side. So just like this. Perfect. And now rotate these in one, about halfway through. And this one we could probably just place here right away. Yep, just like that. And there's our base that we're going to be working with here. Now we need our the buttons, I guess, or the joystick for the arcade machine here. So to get this where we want it, we're gonna have to rebound off of the back side here. So let's place a sign on the wall right here and grab our player head right here. So this is actually going to be sitting halfway like this, but it's going to be up one. Okay, as you can see, that's what it looks like. One more time, and we're going to want to configure it to be the joystick and buttons, just like that. And now we got it right in the center in the perfect spot. So let's recolor this real quick just to, you know, get that out of the way to make it look a little bit better before we start the rest of the process to finish it off. I'm gonna make this like just a turquoise, a dark turquoise, and this is what you're left with here. So we need the top overhang and we need to cover up this ugly opening. Also, we can color that in the back too, I forgot about that. For this, we're gonna go off the grid and we're just gonna put the clocks in here to fill in that space. So just making sure that they're behind the TV like this. Just place the other one on the other side. Kind of try to get it lined up with where your other clock was placed, which can kind of be difficult on this side. So that's pretty good. There's like a little bit of a thing there, but that's pretty good. That's exactly where we want it. Just somewhere in there to fill that in. I guess it's not a necessary part of this build. Like, you wouldn't have to do this, but it does make it look a lot cleaner if you do it that way. Alright, now we need to finish off our top here. So for this, it's more of those towels. And I'm gonna place 2 more blocks up here so that we can work with the top here. So we're gonna want them facing the smooth side, which is the side with the 2 puffies, or the 2 puffs. We want them going this way, right? So let's just make sure this is lined up how we want it. And we need it tilted upside down so we get that side that's got that cushioning going downward. And it's important so we can fill up as much of this gap as we can. And from here, it's simply just filling in this space. So 1 and 2. And do the same on the other side. Just make sure that the 2 are facing this way now. Okay, 1 and 2. And there we go. Now we can just color the top to match everything else. So you do get this weird thing here again. You can't really do much about that unless you face 2 of them facing this way, but then you might get glitching. So it's a bit of a hard thing to figure out what you entirely want to do. And last but not least, we have this area on the ground right here. Now this is surprisingly easy to get rid of. You're just gonna want to grab some trash bins and do 1 here and 1 here and then 1 in the middle. Just do the same on the other side, 2 and 3. Now we're just gonna go ahead and color these the same as the rest of the build. And there's your arcade machine. Okay, over here I'm gonna finish up our wall and enclose this space so that we get a nice area where we can fit a double door, just like that. And I'm just gonna paint match everything here for now. But for the next build, we're gonna be doing the Dance Dance Revolution, or some kind of dancing game. So we're gonna have speakers, a big TV that you can look at what you're doing on, that also have some little light speakers on top, and a little dance floor. So yeah, let's get into it. So first we're going to need 2 of these bookshelves. These are pretty cheap and they're going to be on both sides just like this. We're going to go off the grid and put this relatively in the middle here, just like this. And then we're going to want to grab 2 of our clocks and make sure it's snapped to the grid and get them in here like this. You can push them in like that and just have them facing this direction. We got both of them there like that. And now we're going to grab 2 of our, well, we're going to need 4 of these actually, but we're going to do 2 first. So our coffee machines, we're going to go like this. And just make sure it is halfway on here. So just like this, and put it down all the way towards the bottom. And do the same thing on this side. Just like that. Okay, so this is pretty good, but we need it to go up 1 more. So we're going to have it right here. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and boom, and then we do the same thing on this side. And as long as they're at the same height, we can go back into our visualizer mode right here. Alright, next we're gonna get the cap on here, or the top part. So let's go ahead and grab our coffee table, or the modern one. Alright, and we're gonna place this in here just like that. Okay, so now that we have the top, the sides, and the speaker portion, we're going to quickly recolor all of this. And it can realistically be any color you want. I'm thinking probably a pinkish purple. Just make sure your fill is on, so you fill up the whole thing. So now we can go ahead and actually get the speakers on here, which are just going to be these, and we're going to rotate them like this. So you'll notice that they don't actually center, so you're going to have to go off the grid and just place them like this. But it's actually not that much of a hassle to do it like this. I actually kind of prefer doing it like this. Even if it's not exactly center, I think our eyes do a pretty good job of making sure those look about the same. And then to do the top one, it's also very, very easy in my opinion, because we can rebound off of this coffee table. So you're just going to place one on both sides. We're going to delete these later, so don't really worry about how ugly it looks. But we're going to take these and rotate them the same way and go off the grid. And you can see them, and the cool thing about these is like completely unintentional, obviously, but you can see the one below it. So this actually helps you kind of line it up to get it as center as you can and looking like the one right below it. And I got both your speakers, and they look pretty center and lined up to each other, which is pretty good. Obviously this one looks like it might need to be over a little bit to the left, but all in all it looks pretty damn good. Now we can retexture these to be maybe a little bit darker if you wanted that to be darker. I did find using this texture looks a lot like a speaker, especially if you have it on gray or lighter gray, as it, oh well, maybe a little bit darker than that, as it adds those lines to the speaker. The only problem with this is for some reason the texture doesn't hold, which is very weird. Also this, I should have put that in a little bit more. Yeah, so these are a little bit out more than I would want. Just make sure you're pushing these in all the way. For this example this is fine, but like you can always push these in a little bit more. Like I'd say this one's probably the best one. But yeah, let's get our TV out of the way. So we're gonna just place these two up here so we can line stuff up on the top portion. Alright, we're gonna want to place our church podium here and just lower it about right here, a little bit below where the blocks sit. That's why we have them there. And it should look something like that. And then we're gonna grab our TV, the modern one, and we're gonna be off the grid still, but we're gonna be placing it down like this. So yours might touch the bottom like this one is. If so, then put it into the bottom. Like that looks pretty good. But if it doesn't and it's not touching the bottom, that's fine, because it's gonna be mounted via back anyways, so it's really not that big of a deal. Alright, and once you're done with this, you can delete this church podium, or you can keep it and just paint it this color, which wouldn't look too bad. But for the sake of this video, I am going to be getting rid of it because we don't need it anymore. And to do that, you're gonna have to unfortunately zoom in very close here and delete it like that. Once we have the TV here, I'm going to take the texture off of the bookshelves that are the sides of the object, and then paint the outside here. And then I'm also going to do a plastic darker black than this black right here to make it look more like a TV, and that looks pretty good. Alright, next we need the back support here, which is going to be our modern the futuristic coffee table, sorry. And these you can be on the grid with. Just make sure the flat side is pointed towards the TVs, and it'll look something like this, and you're just going to want to stack these on each other. So one close to the top and then one right below it, and that should look something like that. And we're going to give the middle a harsher texture, and then the outside we're going to give that nice plasticky texture to kind of give it some variant. Okay, so we're almost done. We're going to place some speakers on top, or some lights. I mean, it could be interpreted either way, but we're gonna have them facing straight upwards because they're gonna be angled when you place them up here, and they actually go on there perfectly. They almost fit the exact shape here, so that's pretty cool. You don't have to really do anything extra for that. And then I'm going to take this plastic again, and we're going to place it on the bottom here. But to get these colored, it is a little bit difficult. You have to zoom in a lot, which is unfortunate, but here, just give me, there we go. Okay, now that they're both that plasticky color, we're going to give the top the same speaker look down here. So we're going to copy that and color it to our best ability, because it's kind of difficult to get the mouse. There we go. And that's that. So from here, we need the dance floor. So let's go ahead and do that right away as well. For this, you're going to be on the grid, and you're going to place 4 right here. 4 of the path blocks, I should say. And I recommend this graded pattern, actually, because I think it makes more sense that way as more of a metal. So when you're placing this decal, I'll have the ID on the screen. You're going to want the R facing down or upright in this fashion, and place the decal that I have for you guys on screen. So this is just the Dance Revolution floor pattern. This is not my decal. This is like one of the few that aren't my decal, so if it gets deleted, I'm sorry. I'll try to make my own, I guess, if it gets deleted, but it hasn't been deleted for a very long time, and it looks really good, so yeah. In the very last part, we're going to do is the red beams, or some kind of beams, because there are a few instances where there's like poles that you can grab onto. This takes place in, I swear, I've seen it in like a movie before. Alright, and that looks pretty good. And then I'm just gonna color them a metal, and we're gonna go for like a purplish red kind of vibe. But yeah, and that's pretty much it. So obviously we'll be adding more decals to the sides of the machine later, but for now this is the base set for this model for the Dance Revolution machine. Alright, next up we have the racing game. I think this one's very cool. It kind of just popped in my head and I started making it, and it was like, wow, that looks pretty good. So that's what we're going to be doing for this one. So yeah, let's get into it. First, we're going to need our TVs. Just like for the other arcade machine, this is kind of going to be what we revolve the whole build around. We're going to place them right there. And then next, we're going to need our futuristic coffee tables. These will be the sides of the machine, and these will get placed on the back wall just like this. Just make sure that they're close to the bottom, and it will look like that. Just place them both on each side, and make sure it's the side that is close to the wall of the TV right here. Alright, now that you have it looking like this, we're going to be placing our treadmills, which are going to be the bottom that stick out over here, and add kind of a little design on the side as well. Whether it's a good design or not, as far as the side goes, I think it adds more dynamic to it, and it's the main thing is we want these bottom parts here, so that's what we're using that for. I know the treadmills are a little expensive, but some of us that have been playing this game, we just have treadmills sitting in our inventory anyways because we don't use them for really anything. So I think a portion of people will probably have 2 of these. So you're going to place them right next to each other. And the reason we're placing these before the other stuff is because for most of the bottom stuff here, we're actually going to be using the treadmill to rebound off of, because it just works better that way for some reason. But for the top, we don't actually have to do that. So it's actually just going to be one of these modern coffee tables, and I'm going to go off the grid, and we're going to get it right where we want it. Just make sure it's centered. So we're going to go like this, and that looks pretty centered. Yeah, that's pretty good. It doesn't have to be exact or anything. And we're going to go ahead and place one more futuristic coffee table rebounding off the treadmills, so using the ground. Alright, just like this. So we're going to take this and we're going to push it in there. And just make sure you get it in a centered spot. It looks pretty good. So we'll go right there. And that looks pretty good. So now we can go ahead and actually recolor most of our stuff. None of this really requires any centering anymore, so we don't really need these blocks on the side. So let's make this a red color, and a plastic. We can go ahead and color everything red. Except for the TVs, don't color the TVs. And then we can color the back sides of the treadmill. And I darkened the red as well, but Anyway, this is what you want to be left with, and now we can go to our material, go to this graded metal, and then let's go for a lighter kind of darkish gray in between to give that bottom look to it, just like this. So now, very simply, we're just going to place 2 of our movie theater chairs. You can get these from the presents, the green ones, which are like 2,800 or something like that, and there's a chance you'll get them. Obviously I understand these are not super easy to come across, but they do look the best in this scenario, but other chairs may work as well. So we're going to just place them right next to each other, and that's pretty much it. You could probably even keep the base color red on here. You don't have to match it to the ArcadeMachine itself, but we are going to take that graded metal and add it to the back just to give it kind of flush uniformity throughout and make it look like it's really connected to this build. Alright, next we're going to do the steering wheels. So for the steering wheels, we're going to be grabbing our microphones and snapping off the grid and facing them downward like this. So the microphone facing down, and again rebounding off of the treadmill, surprisingly, just push it back a little bit. Realistically here, this is where you get to choose like how far back you want it from the machine itself. So I'd say that's pretty good. They stick out a decent amount, and you can retexture these to a cobblestone. In my opinion, I think the cobblestone at a darker color kind of gives the illusion that there's like a leather grip to it. That's the reason why I do it, if anyone was curious. But it's not something that like is super important. You could just keep it this color. This texture. And if you're wondering how to color the whole thing, just use the fill so that it colors quicker, because it kind of takes forever to do it otherwise. And actually, now that I'm looking at the color of the seats, I'm going to actually darken them quite a bit. So let's get a dark red going on here. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better actually. Alright, now we just gotta add the wheels. So for the wheels, most arcade machines only have either the back ones or they have it only on these sides. They don't actually have it in the middle, which is perfect because these only will be on the side anyway, and it looks pretty cool. So for this, we're going to go off the grid. Sorry, not off the grid. We're going to stay on the grid, but we're going to push it in one like this. And that's perfect. Just do the same on the other side. Just kind of remember where it's supposed to go. It shouldn't be too difficult to remember, but yeah. And now we're going to place these in here, so just like that. Do the same thing on this side. If you have trouble figuring out where to put them or lining this stuff up, I recommend using this block right here. And what I mean by this is, so like let's get this, okay, is to like look at it and go like this. That's where your other one's gonna go, and it'll be the same for the other side too. If you're having trouble, again, memorizing where it's supposed to go, like visualization wise. So yeah, it's not too bad. And then we'll go and give ourselves a plastic and do a pretty dark black, but just a little bit gray as well. Okay, I'm gonna darken it a bit because I think it should be a little bit darker than that. Okay, so perfect. Now we're going to, again, plastic, but this time a little bit of a lighter gray, and just put your single paint on and not the fill. And now we're gonna color those centers to give it the illusion of a wheel. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, besides the decals that will go on it, and I'll be going over that when we go and put decals on all of our arcade machines that we have just made. So yeah, I'll see you for that portion of the video. Alright, now that we've got all the machines built, it's time to add decals and color match everything. Now, as far as this machine goes over here, I did color match everything. If you are interested in the colors, I can actually click on them here. That's the location and the color here, and the material is a metal. This is the blue we're working with here. They don't have to be exact as long as it's somewhere in this location. I think it'll match pretty well. And for the sides is just a darker purple magenta. And I think these colors go a lot better with the overall thematic build going on here. So yeah, let's do the fun part and get all these decals on all these machines that we've built. And before we get into this, I just want to let you know all the decals. I will have a template on my Discord, and I'll also post it in the main Pizza Place server for anyone interested in making sure that you get the decals in the right spot, like if you wanted to make your own per se, because obviously with the regular arcade machine you might want to have different games, you know. So we'll start with the basic arcade machine here, and for this you're going to want to go off the grid and just push it on using the ground all the way up to the edge, and do the same on this side like that. And now we're just going to take this and we're going to use the ID that I have on screen is for this decal, which is the game Centipede, which is an arcade game, and it will look like this. So that's what it looks like when it's all said and done. And also, if you didn't add a coin machine or insertion to your other machines, you can go ahead and do that by going off the grid and placing it as centered as you can, just like this. And I'll have the ID on screen for this one as well. Next up we have our ClawMachine. So for the ClawMachine, you're going to want to grab your decal. This one you can be on the grid actually, surprisingly, and place that right there. For the sides you want to be off the grid and make sure it's up against the wall, but also flush with the right there. That looks pretty good. Flush with the machine itself. So let's do the same on this side. So for the side, I'll have the ID on the screen here. That's what it looks like. And then this side, I'll have the ID on the screen. And for the top, I'll also have the ID on the screen. So this is Polyclaw. It's just something I made up. You can have your own if you so feel like it. I'll have that. Again, I said I'll have it on my Discord or in the main Pizza Place, but that's what it looks like. And you can even add, and when you place a decal there, just like I just did, you can use one of these same ones and just figure out which one you think fits a little bit more. I think this one is pretty good, so we'll go with that. And that's what it looks like. And you have your claw machine with all the decals representing it. You could probably place some up here as well, but I just wanted to keep it pretty simple. But yeah, that's what that looks like. Next we'll go to our DanceRevMachine machine, and we're gonna place our decals here. You can use the grid for this side, but the other side is not going to allow you to. So you're gonna have to use off the grid. Place it just like that, and then off the grid for the top here, and just get it centered like that. So for the top, I'll have the ID on screen, and for the sides, for this side I'll have the ID on the screen, and for this side I'll also have the ID on the screen. And that is what this one will look like when it is done. It's pretty cool. I think this one looks really, really nice. Alright, and lastly for this side, we're going to place one right here using off the grid, just like that. It can be a little bit difficult. If you are having a really hard time, you can always do it that way as well. And then your last one is going to go on top. So for the side, I'll give you the ID for that one, and then for this side, there's the ID for that, and for our top, there's the ID for that. And that's what it should look like when you're all done. And now you have a good amount of arcade machines in here. You can add a bunch more of these that all look really, really nice. If you wanted, you could probably add a coin machine, like a coin slot right here. On this machine, I am not too sure, so that's why I kind of just kept those two out of it, but these two have the coin machine, which I think adds a lot to it. And now the final part is to add some nice decals to the wall, make the lighting work. Getting rid of anything super bright, so I'm getting rid of those lights. and we're gonna change the ground. I recommend actually using large decals for this, so placing them flat like this if you're gonna do an individual room, which you could probably find some nice arcade decals if I go arcade. Yeah, and there's a bunch of them here, right? I'm not sure how they mix in with each other, like in terms of being flush, but this one looks pretty good right here. Otherwise, if you weren't worried about the rest of the house and the whole floor was an arcade, you can always go ahead and change the ground, the floor, and find an arcade for this one. So something like this would look pretty good. It is a bit much, so maybe something a little bit more subtle. And if you didn't want the classic arcade floor, you could just go for something even more simple for a floor, like just a carpet or a black darker carpet like this. This probably wouldn't be too bad either. So anything that kind of fits the theme of the place, I think would go a long way. So after you're done choosing your floor, you're probably going to want the walls to be a little different too. Now you can have your own decaled walls, or you could go for just making them black and then adding stuff later. I mean, realistically, it's up to you. You could see what a darker gray would look like. Alright, so now our arcade has that darker environment that we'd probably want to go for when making something like this. And let's add some doors here. I recommend decal doors if you're going to use glass. That way you can actually see through them without it being making all the big decals disappear, because for some reason the ones that are in the game do that. Alright, so here's a decent example of a door that would work pretty good. And just place one on the reverse side. That way when you walk through, it's pretty much the same on both sides. And do the same anywhere else you have a way to get in. Okay, and now you can either paint the ceiling or add decals. I'm gonna make it black. And now we can add some lights. So you don't want anything too bright. In fact, I'd recommend purely going for anything that has a color in it. I'm gonna be going for, let's see, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go for the multicolored lights. Just kind of place these everywhere. Some of the corners. And then kind of just pick the appropriate color for that area that might work best. So maybe a pink over here, some red works really well over here, maybe a bit of a more like a blue, and then over here we want probably more purple. We'll start going with that, and then we'll do a more pink over here to fit that, and then maybe something simple over here, like just another blue. But yeah, now you have some good lighting going on. I wish these were invisible. Unfortunately, you can't really get them to be invisible. But the lighting looks pretty good in here. And now we could go ahead and add more decals to the walls. Just anything that gives an arcade vibe. You could, what I would do personally is put like art that fits the arcade vibe. Like, let's see if we have, like, you could probably find some cool Pac-Man stuff. I know it's pretty it's a pretty old school game. I do have a cool Pac-Man ID that I can give you. I'll put it on the screen right now. But yeah, or you can type in LED. Maybe we'll get some cool LED stuff. None of these are transparent, which is a little unfortunate. Yeah, that's not a very good decal. You want to try to look for something that isn't like this. Obviously you can make your own, but I mean, yeah, anything that fits the arcade feeling you can do. In fact, and again, you could make this entire corner dedicated to the Just Dance. You could have art on the wall for Just Dance. You could have racing art on the background here. You could have ClawMachine stuffed animals on the background here. Anything that fits the theme, just go for it. It'll really add a lot to your build, trust me. Because I don't want to give you an exact layout for everything. I just really wanted to get you these arcade machines with some nice decals for them. And also I recommend having like a prize corner too, or a prize center area, just somewhere for prizes. So I'll make something up real quick here. So something like this, and then you could add like shelves in the back. A nice thing for shelves in this game would definitely be, where are they? These clocks are pretty good. If you flip them this way and place a bunch of them next to each other like that, it's a pretty nice shelf because you can recolor it, and then you could go ahead and place some stuff on it. And you could use these player heads and probably put some fun little prizes on here. Let's see if I have one. Something here, right? Like prizes. You can put stuff up here. So I think something like that would be a cool inclusion for this arcade. But yeah, that pretty much does it for this video. I didn't want to go over like every single like detail in making the arcade room, but I wanted to still introduce on how you'd go about it, like from the layout to blocking windows to having darker colors in here, to the arcade machines themselves and some of the decals that can go on them to really make them feel more immersive in the environment that they're in, and the lighting too, and even ideas for other areas you can make on your own. It's pretty much, the options are endless, and I just want you to have fun with it. I think an arcade looks very cool in houses, especially if it's done to this degree. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, I was just trying to do a recommendation that I had seen, because I'm trying to do a couple of them, and I think this one was pretty fun. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we get a pizza place update soon too. Like, we're getting a drought again, so it's getting a little dry, but it is what it is. I'm still having fun with it once in a while, so I'll see you guys in the next one.